Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder and attorney at Meldon Law, and we have an exciting show for you today. Joe Cronin and Leslie Becker, who are from SigPro, and welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you very much for having us.
Good. And now I love live music and live production, theater production. So I'm so excited to have you on the show. I know that you're very involved with the Sharon Theater down in the Villages. So let's talk about what's going on, what SigPro does in the Villages, and let all of our listeners and viewers know the exciting shows coming up.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having us. It's really great to be here. So Significant Productions, SigPro for short. We are a new nonprofit public charity, and we're all about art, artists, and audience. That's kind of everything that we do. Kind of points back to one of those three things: preserving and protecting the tradition and culture of the arts, doing it in a way that enriches artists and makes them feel comfortable and safe and appreciated. And then obviously the audience is a big part of this whole thing, so making sure that we're staying in touch with what our audiences want, but also balancing that with our mission of making sure that we're again focused on protecting all of the arts.
Well, I know, John, you've been involved with the arts for a long time, with the Dave Matthews Band, Huey Lewis, Worldwide Wrestling, Apple Events, Universal Parks, Walt Disney World. So you've seen a wide variety of how people do production. Hopefully, well.
Yeah, and I think and I think Leslie and I can both speak to this, is that there's great art everywhere. And we're fond of saying what's good for the arts anywhere is good for the arts everywhere. I think what is important about what we're focusing on is that, you've always heard horror stories about starving artists and this and that. A lot of those horror stories are 100% the truth. And we're saying, why should people who are in the arts have to suffer for the art? Electricians don't inherently have to suffer to be electricians.
They make a lot of money these days, right?
And I think probably the only other occupation I can think of off the top of my head is like teachers. Unfortunately, just the way that system is set up, they kind of have to battle some things. But, we're saying it doesn't have to be that way. What if we could all just do art because it's what we love to do? And I think that's part of what makes Leslie's position in our group so unique, is that it's kind of different. A lot of theaters don't have a director of people, projects, and culture.
Well, Leslie, why don't you talk for a little while? Tell us
sure.
what your role is.
So my role as Director of People, Projects, and Culture, it's a mouthful, but basically what it means is I'm there to support our people, and our people are our full-time staff, and that's also the staff that we bring on, all of the actors that we bring on, we hire in, and so I'll cover everything that you could think of that's HR related, making sure we've got health benefits, and making sure we have policies and procedures to follow and hold us all accountable. It also means that I'm working with John a lot to do some learning initiatives. We have a leadership program that our employees go through, and we're always looking for ways to become a workplace that feels like it's someplace you want to go to work. That's the goal.
Well, it sounds like Meldon Law, because we work really hard on. We have a culture committee, and we have
awesome.
We work on team building and trying to instill a feeling of this is a great place to work, and we have lots of our team members say that it's the best place to work because we focus in on just what you were saying. So there's two different theaters, right, that you're working on. Why don't you talk about the different venues that we have and how they differ?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So we have, well, the first theater that was opened that we started working with was the Sharon L. Morse Performing Arts Center, and that is our touring house.
Yeah,
Is what it's
commercial touring house,
house. Thank you. And that is where we have a booking manager who does a wonderful job and selects the shows that are going to come and be performed at the theater. And then we have our production house, which is the Studio Theater, Tierra del Sol, much smaller, intimate black box space, and we do all of that production in-house. We hire the directors, we hire the designers, we hire the actors, and we even choose the shows. We have a committee of our employees that painstakingly reads many, many scripts and then has lively discussions to decide which shows are right to be performed in our space at this time.
So what are some of the shows that you have upcoming in the smaller venue?
Sure. So in our smaller space, what happens because we put it on in-house, we'll run those shows for longer. So those shows, once we open, will be open for 3 to 4, as many as 5 or 6 weeks at a time. And we have a show about to open called Qualia, and that is a play.
It's really cool.
And I'm very excited about it because it's written by a local playwright, local to Central Florida. Ashley Ann Gardner wrote this play called Qualia, and it's a post-apocalyptic AI-involved story, sci-fi.
Yeah.
But I won't ruin any of the interesting parts of this story. I want folks to come and see it. We're really excited to put it on.
Yeah.
And so what do you run it 5 or 6 nights a week, or how often?
5 days a week, 6 performances. So we'll do a matinee. Usually on Saturdays we do a matinee.
Just like in New York on Broadway, right?
That's right. Tuesday through Saturday. That's a theater week.
That's it.
So do you work directly with the production, creating the production? Do you have directors? How does that work?
So a lot of our directors we bring in from all over. I'm happy to work with a lot of Orlando-based directors as well. And then from there, we have an in-house scenic designer, and they design the set. Our team in-house builds the set. And then we have auditions. We have auditions yearly. Our auditions are now open. Everyone who'd like to audition for us.
How do they get a hold of you? Okay, so Leslie, call to action. How do they get a hold of you to audition?
Absolutely. Visit our website at significantproductions.org, and there'll be a link for our auditions page. You can submit a video audition, or you can come and see us in person. We will be hosting, I think we're already booked actually fully, but people will be seeing us in New York and in Chicago. We also host auditions in Orlando and some at our venue in the Villages.
Wow. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of talent around. You just need to find it.
Our casting team has a challenging time. They have to sift through a lot of auditions, and we see a lot of talented folks come through.
I really do.
So, John, what are some of the big things going on at the Sharon?
Yeah, so at the Sharon, it's kind of the opposite of what Leslie was just describing. Is at the studio, we're the producer, and at the Sharon, we're the presenter. So we're just saying, hey, Three Dog Night, you are a already produced and known thing. Would you like to come and perform on our stage? They say yes, and then we sell the tickets, and the show happens. So spoiler alert, Three Dog Night is one of the shows that's coming up. And then we also have What Would Dolly Do? WWDD. It's a really fun Dolly Parton tribute show.
I admire Dolly Parton so much.
Too.
I don't know if you know this, but my former law partner, Peter Laird, 45 years ago, moved out to L.A., and worked in the entertainment field.
I know the name Peter Laird. What?
Well, Edelstein and Laird was the law firm, but anyhow, he represented, among other people, Dolly Parton and Bette Midler and Bon Jovi and Miley Cyrus and Prince and all these people. He said, of all these people, that's an A list, right? But he shared with me, he said, of all the people he dealt with, Dolly Parton was the nicest, most respectful, the easiest to work with.
Yeah.
Prince was the biggest pain in the ass.
Oh, no.
Okay, not that he wasn't great on stage,
They
but
always say never meet your heroes, right?
yeah, no. Prince, he said, you couldn't. He had a script he had to follow to get him on the phone, and it was like, you couldn't call and say, "Hi, this is Peter. I'm your lawyer. I'd like to speak with you." It was
Okay.
like you had to call and say, I want to speak to the boss. And that was the code word, okay?
All right.
Okay? And then one of the people who worked for him would get on him, but he said Dolly Parton was the exact opposite as far as, call her. Hi, Dolly, it's Peter.
Yeah.
We got this contract. I want to go over it with you. He said, sure. She made time and was a good client, right?
Yeah.
And then I got to see her in Vegas at the House of Blues.
Ooh, lucky you.
And she just is, she's such a engaging entertainer. So I'm very interested in
so
the...
comfortably her. She's just so comfortable in her skin. She's like, yeah, this is what makes me feel good about myself. And I'm just like, good for you, sis.
Well, not
Go
only
off.
not only that, what she does with books and trying
and literacy,
spread
children's
literacy.
Yeah.
I mean, what
She's a
a
wonderful person.
So I'm just a huge fan of her.
Yeah.
So that's
Somebody else.
March 29th.
That is, it's coming up. It's
Okay.
coming up quickly. It's when is that this weekend?
Yeah,
that's this
yeah,
weekend.
yeah. And then
Time works different in theater.
Three-
It all just kind of
and
blurs.
Three Dog Night the next night.
Three
So
Dog Night's
that-
right after that.
That's a
Yep.
bang production,
And
and
we
then
have, we have a Night of Queen coming up in
May
April.
7th.
Yes, I was
May
going to say it's either
7th.
late April, early May. So that's actually a really good one. So this is kind of something that's worth mentioning about the Sharon is typically at the Sharon we don't do tribute acts unless at least one of two things are true. One, typically that person needs to no longer be with us. And two, it needs to be really, really good. So that one is really high octane. It's going to be a really great show. Just, go to Sharon.com.
Yeah,
Get yourself
I
some
mean,
tickets.
look, the Riley does good at putting on tribute bands and things like that in Ocala. What you're talking about is a whole different
It's almost
level.
a theatrical experience. It's a concert, but it's also some storytelling about There's a lot that happened behind the music in Queen. So
You know what? It's so amazing because Freddie Mercury, wound up creating these songs with Queen that became rock anthems and sports anthems, right?
Yeah.
And it was like the most, it's like, well, who's created the most, We Are the Champions, and rock, all his great stuff.
Yeah.
And you hear it at every sporting event. And it's almost like an anomaly because maybe Freddie Mercury was a big soccer fan. I don't know. But he wound up being the man when it came to sports anthems.
It's because he was so good at performing in stadiums himself.
Yes.
And he, when he,
That energy.
the energy he put into his music, it's just when you get a whole crowd singing it, there's nothing quite like it. So,
Yeah, it's
Yeah. I mean, he really, was one of my favorites, and I'm excited. So we got Dolly Parton, March 29th, Three Dog Night, March 30th, May 7th, Queen,
yeah.
and then, but there's lots of other shows
There's
coming up
lots more.
besides.
And the 24th of May, May 24th is Rocky Lynn. And he's performed with us before, but if you didn't know that, he's just got a new Netflix special out. New music, some different instrumentation of some of the original stuff. So it's gonna be a really great show. And the proceeds from that one, by the way, go toward supporting Villagers for Veterans, which is one of our partners in our community that we work with several times a year to help them fundraise to continue to do what they do to support our veterans.
My guests today, John Cronin and Leslie Becker, we're talking about the Sharon Theater in the Villages, as well as the smaller theater And what's the name of the smaller theater?
The Studio Theater at Tierra del Sol.
Okay. So for those of you that live in North Central Florida, the Sharon is friggin' amazing. It's a beautiful theater. They do a really nice job. We love it there. They bring great shows in all the time. And we encourage everybody to support it because folks have the opportunity to see great productions. You guys are bringing in terrific acts. And I think the awareness allows you to bring in even more shows. You know, a lot of people think of the Villages as mostly snowbirds, but I don't think it's like that anymore, huh?
No.
No, I wouldn't say so.
No, yeah, things are changing in the Villages. It's not your grandma's Villages anymore, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of people, a lot of millennials at like sort of the top, the earliest millennials born. Sort of set out and said, you know, we're going to retire by the time we're 50. And a lot of them figured it out, and they're doing it. And so, you know, there's some young blood moving into the Villages right now and some young families. And, you know, I think, yes, what you just said is so true, that it helps us to bring more things in. But it also helps us with some other things that are really important to us. You know, a lot of people think that, or just haven't ever thought about it. Theater doesn't operate anywhere near the same way that television or film does. If you get into theater to make money, you won't. If you get into theater to become rich, you won't. And you're thinking of shows like Rent or Wicked or Hamilton or, you know, we call these juggernauts. These are shows that have long ago made back their initial investment, and now they play in the black, which happens to less than 15% of theater.
Maybe less.
Typically, yeah, and especially these days, as you know, the economy inflation is happening, and you know, one of the things that we're struggling with right now is like lumber costs are going way up, and you know, we're like, okay, our budget was, and now it needs to be, and that's a $3,000 difference per show, and we do 6 shows a year. So you know, it's a lot, and being a nonprofit, we rely heavily on people to come alongside what we do and why it's so important, because ticket sales only account for about 60% of our annual operating costs, which is actually an exceptionally well-run theater. You'll find theaters that are more in like the 40s and 50s.
So how can people help?
This is a beautiful segue that you just made there, John.
I was lining you
I'm
up,
so proud
friend.
of you. We're having, coming up on April 26th is our inaugural fundraising gala. So we have been operating at the Sharon Elmhorse Performing Arts Center for 10 years coming up, but we are a new nonprofit. So it's an interesting way to celebrate 10 years in the business, and it's our inaugural fundraising gala because we are now a nonprofit. So I would encourage and invite folks to come. Tickets are available. There will be a silent auction, a live auction,
A delicious dinner. Really great entertainment.
Hosted on stage at the Sharon, and entertainment that I don't want to spoil, but there's some very exciting, unique entertainment happening because we are, of course, a production company, so we have to entertain folks.
We're going to produce something for you.
Okay, so listen up here, gang. significantproductions.org/gala. That's how you find out about the big show for the inaugural fundraiser. And look, it's time that everybody support the arts. I think it's amazing. You've got this beautiful facility in a great town, and you try to bring in acts at affordable prices so that, you know, it's not $400 to go see a show. Right? And I mean, I've paid that much for good tickets, right? I mean, if you really want to see a show now, you know,
and I think something that's I'd love Leslie to talk about this because it's just so who you are. I think that, you know, yes, all of that, and most theaters do that. You know, like except for the pricing bit, we're really good at pricing. We underprice pretty much every other theater, but most theaters bring in good shows. Otherwise, people don't buy tickets and the theaters close. So what makes us really special is what Leslie does every day, I think, in sort of saying, hey, industry, the way that we've always been is kind of not great in the way that, you hear about the show must go on, which sounds just like a cute phrase, until you're in it. And then the show must go on can go to some really unhealthy places in our business with our people. So
Well, particularly if you're strapped for cash, right?
Sure, exactly.
You know what a top-notch production is, and it takes money. So everybody out there, let's get on board, okay?
Yeah, we can absolutely use all the support that we can get, because it's going to, I think oftentimes people come to see theater and you see the performers doing their job and they're amazing and we love what they do and they're extremely talented, and there's a whole other crew of people behind the scenes doing so much. We have everything from house management, we have our behind the scenes crew who put up the lights and make things sound nice, and we have our hospitality team that's making sure the artists are fed and that the artists are taken care of, and we have our stage managers. I could go down an entire list of everyone that we as a company also support. And so that's what John's talking about that makes us a special place to be, is that if you're an audience member coming to see our shows, you can know that we are doing everything in our power to make sure that you are getting quality shows, and the people who are putting on those shows are having a better quality of life to the best of our ability as much as we can, and community support can only help make that better. And when the folks putting on the shows are happy, the shows are only going to be better for you.
So if they go to significantproductions.org, there are opportunities to help, right?
Absolutely.
You can not only buy tickets, but you can donate money, you can become a patron, you can become a, whatever involvement. And I'll tell you,
volunteer applications are about to be live, so if you'd like to become an usher and see some shows free, please still buy tickets. But also, that's a way that you can help.
Ushering is cool, right? It's like you get to see the show, because once the show's on, nobody's out in the lobby, right? Yeah. And so it's like, hey, guys out there, you can get involved. And the most important thing, though, is the arts make the community vibrant. Without the arts, you really have a community that you can't just focus it around going shopping at Walmart or whatever, wherever you're going to go shopping, right? You want to find something that's exciting, and you look forward to it, and then after the show, you're all excited about what you saw, and you really get, I call it, you get the juice from seeing something live versus nowadays. I think it's really interesting. I'm going to kind of veer off on another subject, but with streaming right now, right? Sure. Everybody can see what they want when they want it. Okay, whether it's on your big screen TV, on your laptop, whatever. Okay. What's interesting is there's this movement now where all the streaming companies are starting to buy sporting events because they're live, and they're every event. That's the one thing we love about sports, is it's unpredictable. You don't know the outcome.
Yeah, that's why no one wants to DVR sports. You never want to record the game and watch it later.
No. Yeah. Even though some people try to do it and then they walk around with their hands over their ears. Don't tell me what happened to the Gators. I'm going to watch it later. So in many ways, live theater is much like sporting events, because each performance is unique. Each show is, and even if you're doing, the same show in the smaller venue, and you're doing it over and over and over, the show evolves during the production period.
It sure does.
So I want to encourage folks who are in North Central Florida. Check out the schedule at significantproductions.org, or go to The Sharon, I'm sure they have
So
the Sharon Morse
yeah,
Theater
it's
has
Sharon,
a website.
thesharon.com and thesharonstudio.com is for the black box venue, the smaller venue.
Yeah, and it's really so important to support the arts, and that we don't need to look to the government all the time to support it. If they're there and they're going to support it, but the people in the community should be really, out there looking for opportunities to support important. I would call it the lifeblood of the community.
I think
Yeah.
that's beautifully said. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for that. What you said earlier about why Freddie Mercury's music ends up in sporting events, I was thinking about it,
Yeah.
is there's not quite any other feeling of when you're sitting with other people who are all excited about the same thing you are.
Yeah.
And you don't get that when you're watching it at home streaming something. You get that when you're with the other people. And so I encourage folks who maybe you haven't been to live theater in a while, or you haven't because you're streaming things, go see a live show. I'd love for it to be at our venues, but even if it's not, go experience that feeling again, because it's something that we all kind of need. It gives you a sense of community, even if you don't have to
Yeah.
talk to the other people next to you. You feel the same thing they're feeling, and that's the power of theater.
Yeah, and I'm fond of saying that, a theater, when the lights go down, is one of the few places left that 1,000 people, regardless of who they are, where they've been, where they're coming from, what's happened in their lives, 1,000 people, as the lights go down, mutually agree that we are going to put the entire world aside for the next 2.5 hours, and we're going to enjoy this thing together. And there's just not many places that happens anymore. And that's why I think what we do is so important at SigPro, because, all of our staff, all of our full-time staff, we're all full-time, we're year-round, we're non-union, we have full benefits, medical, dental, vision, 401k with a company match. Everyone gets 5 weeks of paid time off every year. You can't roll it over. You have to use it or you lose it. And we are not in the business of denying people's vacation requests. And so all of those things that I just rattled off in 20 seconds are so unique to us. And we're saying, hey, the industry can and should grow and get better for itself and for the people who love it. And so I always say, we lead tours at the Sharon a couple times a month, and I do most of them. And I always say that we get to do what we love to do, all 40 of us who work for SigPro. We get to do what we love to do because enough of you love that we do it, and you're willing to help us close that gap between how much we can raise from ticket sales and what it actually costs to do this the way that we do it. And so if that's something that is interesting to you and you want to learn more, please visit us at significantproductions.org. You can send us an email, hit us up on Facebook. We're pretty good at getting back in touch with people. So I guess that's the last thing I have.
Yeah, well, look, I do want to plug the inaugural fundraising gala, okay? significantproductions.org/gala, okay?
And the auction's going to be really good. There's some
Oh,
good
we're
stuff
going to have
in
a
there.
silent auction?
Silent auction
Oh.
and an auction in the room. So
Live
Okay.
audience. There's going to be some games to play.
Well,
stuff.
please let our team at Meldon Law know so we can put a nice gift basket together
We
to
love
donate for the
thank you.
silent auction, and
sounds great.
we'll come up with something special because that's our way of giving back to the community and supporting what you do. And I know I'm going to be down there at the Sharon as much as I can. I love it down there. You guys are doing amazing work, and I want to thank you very much for being on the show. And take some action out there. Do something, right?
Yes.
Do something.
Support the arts.
Okay. And that's going to be a wrap for the show today on Meldon Law Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon. I want to thank our guests, John Cronin and Leslie Becker. And support the Sharon, support the Black Box. There's lots of great things going on in and around the villages. And we really, really love live performance. And that's what this is all about. So engage yourself, support them, and do yourself a favor and be there. So with that said,
That was a great
we're
outro.
gonna
Thanks, everyone.
we're gonna thank you for listening, and we're gonna be back in just a few minutes with some announcements about what's going on in the community. Thank you.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Cary allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was gonna see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're gonna have a great experience there, and I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again.
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Somebody else hit us here.
Here we go again. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I want to catch you up on what's going on in the community. Ocala presents Marion County Day 2025 on March 29th at the McPherson Government Campus in Ocala. Starts at 10 in the morning, goes till 3 o'clock. It's a free community festival. And Marion County invites everyone, residents, non-residents, to the annual community festival celebrating Marion County's history and showing everything that makes Marion County great. Wow, Marion County has really grown, and it's amazing. Support Marion County Day 2025, March 29th from 10 to 3 at the McPherson Government Campus. The Villages Golf Festival, April 3rd and 4th at the Championship Golf Shops. The Villages Golf Festival, it's a 2-day community-wide event, and check it out. It's going to be, again, April 3rd and April 4th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Championship Golf courses, the Champion Golf Shops, rather. And I know everybody down in the Villages where there's 182 golf courses, so go down there. Actually, I think there's more holes of golf per capita than anywhere in the world right here in the Villages. Williston, now this is one that makes my arteries, get excited. The 5th annual Macon Bacon Festival, April 5th from 11 to 4 p.m. at the Heritage Park in Williston. Listen to this. For all you bacon lovers, the 5th annual Macon Bacon Fest is a free, sizzling celebration of all things bacon. Mouth-watering, bacon-infused dishes from food vendors, crispy strips, to crispy, creative bacon masterpieces. And highlights include the bacon eating contest, the best bacon dish competition, live entertainment, and listen to this is awesome, the Miss Macon Bacon pageant. So our good friends at the Heritage Park. We love them. They do a great job. April 5th from 11 to 4. It's actually the most well-attended event they do out there in Williston. So go out there. Everybody likes a little crispy bacon. Up in Fort White, our good friend Santa Sarah and her friends are putting on Rum 138. It's called the Merfolk Fest. Now, why would they call it Merfolk? It's because they have mermaids up there. I don't know how they did it, but apparently they have been able to find mermaids up there in the Swanee River area, and they're bringing them for this party March 29th, Saturday and Sunday, March 30th, up at Fort White. It starts in the morning about 11:30, so show up. And again, it's at Rum 138 in Fort White, and you will see actual mermaid water performances. You can shop in the Mermaid Village, and you can take great photos with the mermaid. So check it out. April 12th, the Orange and Blue game at the stadium in Gainesville. The Orange and Blue game's always fun, and actually, it's the most fun getting there early, because there's going to be a ton of Fan Fest events going on there. I know that it's the event where the most players, the alumni football players, come back. They want to join everybody, have a good time. You'll meet all kinds of celebrities there, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful event. So again, April 12th, Saturday, get out there early because there's a lot going on before the game, and then the game you'll get to see what's going on as far as Gator football. So that's what's happening right now. Meldon Law, of course, has our Facebook giveaways going. Just go to Meldon Law on Facebook, and you will see all kinds of amazing giveaways. We because we're the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, we have all kind of tickets, and we like to share them with everybody. So that's what's going on in the community. Support our community events, and we'll see you next week on Meldon Law and Friends.